Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas visiting with Daryl Owens, who's founder of Crossover Boys Academy. Going to be opening this August, 2017, inside the Martin Center, located on 3rd Street Southeast in Canton. How many young men and children are you looking for in the beginning?
10 to 12. 10 to 12 in the classroom. I believe the states, they allow for 25 in the class, but I just think it's too much. It's too much. So I really want to engage all students. So 10 to 12.
Yeah. Curriculum, getting started with kindergartners, that's where this is going to be beginning. Have you decided on a curriculum? Are you looking at them right now? Oh, what do you want to use?
We'll be using classical core curriculum, and it is a curriculum that comes from Highland Latin School, and they do a very, very good job of educating the students, and they score in the top 1%. With the standardized testing that they take. So, again, when I initially was sitting down and really just trying to figure out what it is that God wanted structurally, He told me it is going to be different than what everybody else does. So, in looking at that curriculum, it's different, and what I love about it is it implements biblical. It implements biblical principles, and one of those principles is mastery. One of the things that frustrates me now about education is that there's not a focus on mastery. Something as simple as multiplication facts. Growing up, you had to know them by heart. When you see 4 times 7, 28, and it has to be quick. So now, in working with kids, I volunteer now at 2 after-school programs, and working with the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, coming across the multiplication facts, they have a what I call a cheat sheet, really, to where they can look at it and see, okay, the 4, the 7, they bring their 2 hands together, okay, it's 28. So that's not mastery, and that's not them really learning how to do it. So as they progress into the upper grades, those foundational skills that they need, they don't have it. So with classical core, the focus is on mastery. The focus is on the reading and just those basic things that are foundational to every subject.
I'm so happy to hear you saying this.
Yeah.
The pendulum in education seems to swing from one side to the other as far as what seems to be the best way for a child to learn. We all learn differently.
Correct.
But there are certain things you just have to know.
Exactly.
And that used to be, the flashcards, and we memorized them, and you learned them, and we use it every day.
Yep.
To Common Core, and I know there must be a reason that
I hope so.
Some people learn through these stories and so forth, but it does boil down to at some point you need to know something. Conversely, reading, I know there was the pendulum swung years back where they were supposed to just learn sight words. There are certain sight words, but you also need to be able to unlock with phonetics, unlock a new word when you come across a new word. So I love hearing you going back to fundamentals and the kind of the old school, so to speak.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And again, I truly believe that through that, when it is time for us to dig deeper on a more complicated levels of study, for the students, it will come easier because they have been trained to understand those basic academic principles.
Let's talk about community. You said you're focusing on 3 things: community, education, and purpose. We talked a little bit about the education. We can swing around back to it. But let's talk about community, the importance of a kindergartner to learn about community, their place in the community, that they are empowered to make a difference in their community. Let's talk about this.
Yeah, well, with community, you see it in Genesis. Right out the gate in the Bible, you see community. God puts an emphasis on us strengthening and building up one another. So that's critical in our survival as humans. So it only made sense that would be a focus for us, teaching the kids that it's not just about you. The greatest commandment is to love God, but the second greatest is to love one another. So in loving one another, we invest in one another. We do things, we give, we sacrifice for one another. So it's an important biblical principle that it has to be taught.
Mm-hmm. Do they learn it beginning with their families? I'll reveal a little bit here. I taught inner city first grade and kindergarten. Some children, by the time they are 5 years old, have gone through chaos in their families. So how do we begin to let them know that might be our very first community that they can have a positive impact on? Yeah.
It's something that we speak about, and I think they understand it through dialogue, but I think even more so it's something that they experience, they see in the way that we conduct ourselves. So
yes.
It's something that we definitely talk about, but the goal is that they would see it. The goal is that they would feel it. The Bible says that we love because God first loved us. So we just want to love the kids, and through that, the goal is that they would realize that that's an important characteristic, and they would take that and they would give that to others.
Do you have plans? Is there going to be a way to make sure that the children have been fed before they begin to start learning? Have you thought about that?
Yes, we'll be feeding them breakfast. We'll be feeding
nice.
them lunch, of course, and then they'll have a snack before they go home. So yeah, that'll definitely be taken care of. The beauty of it is because of how we're structured, the kids will get what I call a home meal every day. So it's not just the processed foods and the things like that. It's an actual meal that we'll be able to cook. So they'll be eating kind of like they're at home.
Mm-hmm. And many thanks to the Canton Junior League for providing an industrial kitchen for the Martin Center.
Yes.
That makes a big difference,
yes,
doesn't it?
It's really nice. Yes, definitely. It's really nice.
All right, let's talk about purpose. I think many children at the age of 5, 4, 5, 6 haven't really thought about their purpose in life. They know what they like.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about the importance of stressing that God has made them unique and they're here for a reason.
Yes.
How do you begin to instill that into such a young mind and heart?
I think in us educating them academically and spiritually, they learn to listen to God. And we really want the kids to be able to hear the voice of God. And you don't just have to hear the Lord speak at the age of 33 like myself. You can hear God speak at the age of 5, at the age of 6. So we really want them to be able to hear what God is saying to them, and for them to be able to walk in that with purpose. If you're not walking in purpose, what's the point of doing it?
Very true.
Yeah, God, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask, will there be opportunities for each of them to kind of explore different likes and interests and so forth?
Yeah, definitely. Now, at the kindergarten level, we'll be doing a few things, but as they get older, starting in the 3rd grade, they will get a chance to explore different skills, different professions. But again, that'll start more so in the 3rd grade, only because I think that's the grade to where they can really understand what it is that they're doing. Kindergarten, I just think it's too young.
Yeah. What a difference you are talking about making in the inner city by just saying, we've got a different culture here. We need to approach this differently. Then public school is fine, but it's not one size fits all.
Correct.
And you are really, really aiming it to meet the needs of the students that you're going to be serving. Bringing in the parents. Here's something I noticed when I was in the school setting. The parents you really, really wanted to be able to sit down and talk to, those were the ones who didn't show up for the parent-teacher conferences. What kinds of ways have you thought about ways that you're going to engage families and parents as everybody works together in the life of these children?
Well, the school, like me personally, I homeschool my kids. And
wow.
I want the school to have the feeling of a homeschool, a real intimate setting. So I think one of the hard parts about like in a public school or private school setting is just something as simple as the time of the parent meetings and conferences. Parents are working. So it's not that the parents don't care and they don't want to go. It's just that they have to put food on the table. So they're at work. So in our relationships with the parents, just a simple one-on-one conversation, we can figure out what works best for them and just work around that. So
that's so simple and yet so brilliant.
Yeah.
Parent-teacher conferences historically have been scheduled at the convenience of the teacher.
Correct.
Not so much the parent.
Yeah, it's backwards.
Yes,
Yeah.
so you find when they're available and engage them when they're available.
And only having 10 to 12 students, I think it makes it easier, to be honest. So,
Okay, you homeschool your own children. Tell me about your family and what ages, and so what grades have you gotten to teach so far?
Yeah, so I'm married. My wife's name is Katie, and we've been married for 9 years, and we have 4 kids. Daryl Elijah, the third, he is 7. Savea is 4. Audrey Adele is 2. And Sophie Sarai is 4 months.
Oh, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And what a beautiful family.
Thank you.
Oh, my. So who all are you homeschooling? The older couple?
Honestly, we start very early. So Audrey is 2, and like she's working on like the counting and the letters and things like that.
Wow.
And honestly, just being that her older sister and brother are being homeschooled, she naturally catches on to the things that they're working on because she's looking over their shoulder or she's listening into the lesson. So she just naturally picks it up. So technically, Daryl Elijah is in the 2nd grade, but he's working at a 4th grade level.
Wow.
Yeah, so depending on what it is, for some things he can even go to like a 5th grade level. And then Savea, technically, so next year she would be in kindergarten, and she's at about a kindergarten level right now. She'll probably be ready for like, I would say like 1st grade by the summertime. So, I mean, when you homeschool your kids, it gives you an opportunity to really just focus in on your kids. So naturally, they're going to be further ahead than the average student. So again,
which sounds like the ideology behind what you're bringing to the Crossover Boys Academy.
Yes.
That you will be honing in on each person's individual skills and gifts and helping them all grow and blossom and thrive. Yeah,
definitely. There's no reason for inner city education to be the way that it is. The students are very, very bright. And I know a lot of people like to use the whole poverty argument, but not having money, it does change your way of thinking, but it shouldn't keep a kid from knowing what 2 + 3 is and knowing how to read. So, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to hear some of the things that you hear in regards to poverty, because I don't think that's it doesn't justify kids not knowing how to read, write, and do math.
Such a good point. All right. Well, I've always thought poverty was more of a mindset than actual a dollar amount.
Yes.
And it can just be debilitating. But once you change the mindset, then you free somebody up to be able to really become all that they were born to be.
Exactly.
So exciting. All right. Well, Daryl Owens, Crossover Boys Academy. How can people find out more? How can they reach you?
The easiest way is through email, crossoverboysacademy@gmail. We have a website, which is simply crossoverboysacademy.org. And on the website, you can actually, there's a contact page to where you can send us a message if need be. And then we also have a Facebook page, which is, again, simply under Crossover Boys Academy.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Promise you'll come back.
I promise you. Thank you for having me. It's appreciated.
Daryl Owens on Our Community.